session for heart health because based upon the experience with Devinder Mahajan ji, who is one of our senior most community leaders in Houston and president of Arya Samaj, that he consulted him for his heart. He is 80 years old and he will narrate his own story based upon his recovery at that age and also based upon my recovery. I am 73 years old, and literally my heart health has been going through a major transformation. It is not complete yet, but it is it's on the way, and there is a major recovery has taken place. And based upon his own experience with himself, the insights he got into the heart and how heart is related to all different organs. It was very surprising that none of these organs work in isolation. Unfortunately, in the modern medical discipline, we have a specialist for every organ. They only treat that organ. So it is very difficult for them to comprehend, in my opinion, how various organs can interact with each other and can affect each other. And because of this experience and what I witnessed, it literally has transformed my life in the last 2.5 years with what I have gone through. The heart recovery has been recent. So we thought we'll let Dr. Rajan share. It's a very simple repertoire one can do, which will take about 20 to 25 minutes a day. One can do in the morning or in the night. And those who have any heart issues, those heart issues can effectively get treated. Those who do not have heart issues, but potentially want to keep their heart strong, it will work as a preventative measure also. So I think we owe it to ourselves to really listen to what Rajanji has to say, and I think you have to have a practice session also in there. And there will be a practice session also so that we can all practice. It's very simple. There is you don't have to do any yoga postures or anything like that. It's a simple sound vibration within inside our body. We have, with a simple acupressure technique along in one of the protocols. So with that, I think I will ask Rajanji to go ahead with his presentation, and then Devji and myself will narrate our own history, what we have witnessed with this therapy, how it has helped us. Thank you.
The objective of this presentation today is the following. We have 4 new practices which I want to share with you. Some of which may be relevant for anyone, and others which are specifically relevant for people who have a heart condition. And we will also share with you how you can identify whether you have a heart condition or not. And heart is an organ that has overall impact in many other parts of the body. Some of you may already know, if you are diabetic, they will say you have potential risk for heart condition. If you are hypertensive, your blood pressure is high, they will say you have risk for heart condition, right? And some of you may have heard something called peripheral artery disease, where if you find you get swelling or anything in your legs and all of that, then in which case there is potential for heart if the circulation is not good. So one interesting way, we'll start off right now for all of you. Just make a fist of your hand like this. Keep your middle finger where it is and lift up all the other fingers. look to see where your middle finger is coming, and release one hand, any one hand, and go to the other hand, the point where the middle finger was, and just press firmly and release. Press firmly and release. Do you feel any pain over there?
Yeah.
You do. Okay? Now go to the other hand, the same middle finger, the same spot, press, release. Press, release. Press, release. You may find the same kind of pain or stimulation as the other hand, or it may be different. Okay? Now, this point is just a checkpoint in the sense heart is related to so many organ systems in the body. This basically tells you if there is slight off balance or anything like that. It's not specific to the heart. It is to the entire system that heart connects with. Okay? Now, a second point which you can all test, and this for people who have a heart condition, it will invariably show up over there. If you take your left hand, and in your left hand, if you look at the base of the little finger and look at the wrist over here, about 1/3 below, it's almost, the area is in between the little finger and the ring finger, in line with that. If you press over there, that is considered the heart point. If you press that point firmly, by the way, when you press, it's not a gentle press, it's a firm press. Okay? When you press firmly, is there anybody feeling any pain over there? You do?
No.
Okay, anybody else?
I feel a little pain.
Okay. Anybody who has a pain over there, that is indicative of, yeah?
Rajan, quick, I see a couple of people pressing like this. So
Uh,
definitely it will not give the right.
Yeah.
So we
We
need to
will,
just.
it has to be a firm, not flat press, firm point press. Okay? So do it with the tip of your thumb, like that. Okay? So if you have that, if you feel a pain, Srinivas, what it is indicative of is potential coronary artery blockage in the heart. Okay? So the thing is, the moment you realize that, there is one easy way for us to get over. Okay? Now, why did we mention both these points as a tester point? Because the first point, when you get the middle finger in, this actually comes from traditional Ayurveda. You see, some of you may know that the ancient system of Ayurveda also had surgery as a discipline. Many people are not aware, even today, the ancient system of Ayurvedic surgery is taught in India. For instance, in Banaras Hindu University, in Gurukul Kangadi Vishwavidyalaya in Haridwar, they teach actual surgery. Very few people will be absolutely astonished and surprised till they go to the Medical Museum in Chicago to find out what kind of tools that were used 5,000 years back for surgery. And the book of surgery in Ayurveda is called the Shushruta Samhita, right? So the surgery in Ayurveda is called Shalya Tantra. Okay? So that's how it was known. So in that one, in the book of surgery in Ayurveda, they write that there are 107 points in the body where you may not do an incision, where you may not cut. If you do an incision, it can have significant consequences. And one point among the 107 points is this point over here where you put your middle finger in. And this point is called the Tal Hridaya Marma. So in other words, it is something that connects the heart function and everything else, all organ systems that are connected with, this is what this point. So if there is imbalance in the body of any kind, this is the place that will be reflected. Okay? Now then, but then it's not necessarily heart, imbalance anywhere, it will show. Okay? So if you see the imbalance, you need to ask yourself, what is it that you need to do about it? But even if you find a little bit pain, you didn't figure out, it's not going to cause any catastrophe. But on the other hand, if you feel a pain in the second point we showed over here, if you feel a pain over there, you need to be very attentive and you have to do something about it. Okay? So what you are going to do about it, I will show you all of those, but right now we just had a measure of testing to know whether you have a problem or not. right? So the second, besides the 4 practices that we are going to talk about for reversing any heart-related problem, we will also talk about preventive health. In other words, for everybody who doesn't have a heart problem, how you can prevent heart problems from coming on. And that is what is the last item. In between, I have the review of anatomy and physiology of heart health. But this is a part I'm not going to spend time on, because this is something that's a little more medical and academic, and so we'll just move along quickly and focus on this part, right? But first, you have a motivator over here. Let's look at the cases that we have, and I will ask Ramesh Bhutada to come and talk about his case. And just in a nutshell, last year he had, in the January of 2017, he was detected with mitral valve regurgitation. Now, the mitral valve, for those of you who don't know, the heart has 4 chambers, right? The left side of the heart, the left upper chamber and the left lower chamber are connected by a mitral valve, and that is the left chambers are the one which receive the oxygenated blood from the lungs, and they pump it into the entire body. So the left side of the heart is considered the most important part of the heart with respect to pumping oxygenated blood around the body. So that valve that connects the upper chamber and lower chamber, the doctor detected that it's a two flap valve. Think of it like a 2-door doorway. And the frame of that, in medical language they call it an annulus, but that frame was warped. The reason it was so the door is not closing properly, right? Why is the thing warped? Because of 2 previous heart attacks, one in 2007 and the other in 2015. There were cells in the heart which had died, and those cells, by shrinking what scar tissues or whatever they call, that had resulted in warping the frame of the mitral valve. This is how the doctor explained to us. So what happened was, when that happened, we worked with a particular mantra vibration with him. He was scheduled to go to a specialist to be evaluated for surgery, because the cardiologist told us that there is no way to avoid surgery for this. So he was scheduled 7 weeks later to the topmost cardiac surgeon in Methodist over here. And when he went after 7 weeks to him, he examined him and told him, you don't have a mitral valve problem, you can go home. So he came back to his cardiologist and took the reading, and the cardiologist was again shocked. You had like about 40% regurgitation of the mitral valve, and now you have only 7%, which is considered negligible, and he came back home. Okay? So that was a learning. We used a mantra, and we used the same mantra for this 83-year-old gentleman here, and he had extraordinary results. So we have been working with those mantra, and my mother also has a little bit of a weak heart, and we work with the same mantra. So we find when the same vibration is working for many people, we think it's going to work for many more other people also. Okay? Now the second thing that happened is, there is 2 other protocols which we have developed. One for clearing out the potential blockage in the coronary artery. And for that, what do? You just press over here, and they point for you. And pressing over here, you focus on your lungs. Your lungs are in the chest, right? You focus on the lungs and mentally vibrate in the lungs the mantra Haim. So as you're doing Haim, 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 mentally you're doing it, not saying it verbally, right? You're focused on the lungs. What we find this does is, this pressing over here loosens the coronary artery, and the Haim in the lungs increases the oxygenation, diffusion rate. It increases the oxygen level in the lungs, that oxygen that is transferred into the blood, and the blood flow is improved going towards the heart. So this way more oxygenated blood becomes available, and that we think clears up this process over a period of time. Okay. So now, this is the second exercise. The first one, of course, the mantra I'll share with everyone. There is, we want the whole world to know that for improving the weakness in the heart, we use the mantra IM. So just IM. Okay, so we'll tell you more of this all later. That's about all. Okay, and then so what happened was Ramesh ji was kind of we all want an objective test. So about 3 weeks back, he went to his cardiologist over here. There is one more protocol we do, and this relates to people who have what is called irregular heartbeat. In the medical language, irregular heartbeat, they call it as arrhythmia. The rhythm is off, right? And so when that is off, it goes into many, many other categories, whether the heart is beating too fast, too slow, or if it is goes into shivering mode, what they call fibrillation and things like that. So for all that, they do different things, okay? So what happened is, it just so happened, I received a note from somebody in India where they had tested with the sound, and this is going to be very interesting, this is not a silent mantra. This is a mantra where you have to move your lips. You don't have to yell or say loudly, but the sound is Vitthal. You know, if you just, all of you do just Vitthal, when you do Thal, see what vibration it creates in the heart? Vitthal, try. Vitthal, Thal, Vitthal, Vitthal, Vitthal. Can you feel the vibration in the heart? What it is this essentially cures. They have apparently found that those of you who are from Maharashtra, you know what I'm talking about, right? Yes. So the thing is, basically they have found that people who do this and they get cured of atrial fibrillation, they get cured of any kind of arrhythmia, and this of course is related to how the electrical signals in the heart work. So all of them get recovered. So what happened was Ramesh ji, he went to his cardiologist, and he essentially said, we will use the 3 protocols. This Vitthal for 5 minutes, he will do the pressing over here and doing the Haim for 10 minutes, and then 10 minutes doing the meditation IM. And so what he did was, he took echocardiogram, and after doing this for 25 minutes, he went and took an echocardiogram, and the cardiologist had a very surprising outcome that came. You see, when the heart is not functioning well enough, it creates a pressure in the heart and also in the lungs, okay? In the echocardiogram, they use some statistical numbers in order to figure out how much is the heart pressure. And he found that the pressure was 15 in his case before, and this was the maximum. And then when he had done these 3 protocols, and then when he took the reading, the pressure had come down to 9. And the cardiologist told me that, by the way, people who have a weak heart, in the medical world, they say that when the heart is unable to pump well enough, it results in heart failure, okay? So it is called heart failure. So he said, for heart failure patients, we have only one way in medicine to deal with. And that way is to drain off the water from the blood so that there is less liquid that the heart has to pump. This way there is relief for the heart. And this, many of you who know a little bit about this know, it is the medication that removes salt from your blood and you start peeing, you urinate out this thing. What they call diuretic is the name that they use. And of course, sometimes doctors call it as the water pill, to eject the water out of the system. So he said, for heart failure patients, that is the only option available, is what he told me. And so he said, if we can do this, and if we can find this happen, this will be something that will be extraordinary for the field of medicine. Okay? So this was his case. Now, the second case is Mr. Devinder Mahajan over here. In his case, we used the IM meditation, and after 7 weeks, he found his blood pressure was going so low, and his wife, Dr. Sushma Mahajan over there, she's the one who is, she's a physician, so she takes care of his this thing. She found that the blood pressure was going too low. And so they stopped the blood pressure medication after 7 weeks of doing this practice. But something more that was happening, he has had previous at the age of 51, going back more than 30 years, he had had a quadruple bypass after a heart attack. And over a period of time he found if he walked for 4 minutes, he tries to do exercise every day. When he's doing exercising, after 4 minutes, he will get a pain, under his arm, that area. And so he will take rest and then continue. So he'll need to be resting every 4 minutes, he has to rest. These days he can walk for 45 minutes and he doesn't get pain. Okay? So that is the kind of improvement in heart health that we have seen over here. And that is the 4 minutes to 45 minutes that I have put in over there. Now, the next two cases are slightly peripheral and they go into a different zone. But this one is a case where once in a while people get uncontrolled blood pressure. It's not relevant over here. When we deal with it, I'll talk about it more because I want to have enough time for the core content and we can revisit this later. The last one is me. I have a family history of heart health problem. My father passed away at the age of 63 with a massive heart attack. His older brother, they were the only two male members of the family, he was a physician. So he passed away at the age of 64 with a heart attack. Okay? So the two male members of the family who are directly in whose lineage line that I am in, they passed away like that. And of course, if I look at my uncle's sons, he had 3 sons. One is still alive. The other 2 sons, exactly around the age of 60, both of them had a heart attack and they passed away. So the heart history in our family for male members is around the age of 60, 65. That's when they die with heart attack is what we have found. So obviously in this modern day and age, physicians will take precaution to go and read your results to see what is happening. So in the month of June, July, I had my normal health checkup, and so my doctor did 2 things. He did what is called an ankle brachial index. Okay, that is what ABI stands for. What they do is they look at circulation of the blood in the heart. So they'll put a little this sonogram kind of Doppler sensor over here in the thumb, 2 thumb, and they'll put it in the 2 toes, and they will see. They are able to tell how well the blood circulation is going. Okay, and he found that my blood circulation wasn't good enough, and apparently that's an indicator of potential peripheral artery disease coming on. And apparently for people who have potential for peripheral artery disease, there is also potential for coronary artery blockage. Okay, and for me, when I pressed over here, I could feel pain at that time. Okay, little bit of pain. He also took my ECG, the electrocardiogram, right? And when he saw, there was a very minor aberration. If you look at the waves, they looked okay, but there are about 8 numbers that come on the top, and one of them was abnormal. So he sent me to a cardiologist to be examined. And the cardiologist also saw that, and the cardiologist said, listen, I'm looking at you, your profile, you don't even have a belly, and you're doing yoga and all of that. You have a family risk, and I can see this little thing. Most likely this is nothing, but I will do a further test in order to examine. And so she did all of that, and so that was where it was. But then I started doing what I was telling you, this thing, that Heim. And after a period of time, I don't do pressing, there is no pain there, but I still do every day. Focused on the lungs, I do Heim, and this increases the blood flow. And so the net result, when I went and had a test about 2 months back, by the way, the ABI test, this is for the right side and this is for the left side, it was 0.63 and 0.72. Now the normal is 1 or above. 1 to 1.4 is considered normal. And so when we took the test again, it was 1.18 and 1.14. That is right and left, right? So you can see the big difference that came from that. And the motivation, as you can see how we have tested these protocols. So these 3 protocols are the key element, and of course the 4th one is to test for yourself, is the middle finger, right? So those are the 4 things that we are dealing with today. So with this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Ramesh ji to say anything more you would like to say about your experience.
Some of you may be aware of my health history. I have had quite a bit of health history. Since the age of 35, I came down with a chronic fatigue syndrome. And that chronic fatigue syndrome, when that episode comes, you totally become lifeless. You don't have desire to speak, you don't have desire to do anything. You don't want to even talk on the phone. It is that bad. And I suffered with that for close to 35 years. And I really tried everything. I of course went to various doctors and all that, and then a doctor friend of mine told me, Ramesh, there is no point you spending your money and time with us, because we really don't know what causes it, much less how we can treat it. So that sort of sealed, since I had gone through, they couldn't really figure out, ran all the tests, everything. Then I tried everything. I tried Ayurveda, I tried traditional yoga, I tried acupuncture, I tried acupressure, I tried homeopathy, I tried Chinese energy healing. None of that worked. But it was a very debilitating condition I had. And the reason I'm mentioning that, because that thing took a toll on my heart. So what happened was, when with Arunji's help, Arunji asked me to meet Rajanji. He was staying at his home. This was in July of 2016. That he said, he had tried everything, why don't you really meet him also? So I went and saw him. I always kept an open mind. That was the only saving grace I had. Even all through my health journey, it really did not matter. But whatever I would try with total surrender to that. So I went and I saw him. He tried a simple breathing technique with me, and it seemed to help. So I tried that, but it wasn't good enough. Then he had to introduce me to a mantra meditation. Anyway, by about December of 2016, my chronic fatigue totally got cured. With dealing with those 2 therapies he has advised me. One was a slow breathing technique, other was a mantra meditation technique. And then we started focusing on my heart. By that time, just to give you a little bit of my heart history, I had in 2008, I had a triple bypass surgery at Methodist Hospital. And then again I had a silent heart attack in 2015, and 20% of my heart was damaged. And that's where this mitral valve regurgitation problem, which Rajanji talked about, creeped in. And I had a 40% regurgitation. It was really bad. Along with the chronic fatigue, I also had another heart situation, which was the shortness of breath. That I would always have a shortness of breath wherever the fatigue episode came. And that is being considered as a congestive heart failure condition. So anyway, this mitral valve regurgitation was a major problem, and doctor thought surgery was the only option for me. And then again, Rajanji, just like what he said, he treated me with this mantra therapy for 2.5 months. And within about 2.5 months, again, I went and got a cardiac MRI done, and that mitral valve regurgitation we found out was reduced to negligible 7%, which was 40%. And that annulus, which was valve, got straightened out, which was a major this thing, because no one has ever thought that through any of these kind of therapies you can physically change an organ. So, but my shortness of breath problem still continued. And that is where then again he started treating me for that. And last about few months, I have found a significant difference in my shortness of breath. It's not totally gone yet, but I would say that it is about 80% has been reduced, that I can function with it. Previous to that, I could not even function. And in the whole process, what we found is all the organs are connected. It had affected my chronic fatigue, had affected my heart, my spine, my lungs, my digestion, everything it had affected. And when my heart condition started getting better, my mitral valve regurgitation started, and this started getting, my digestive system improved. Surprising. You know, I never had a good digestive system since my childhood. You know, one of the ways to find out whether you have a good digestive system or not is very easy. It was shared with me by one Ayurvedic physician, is that your stool should float in the water. If that floats in the water, that means your digestive system is good. If it does not float in the water, that means you are not digesting food properly. So anyway, that is how I found out that my digestive system significantly improved. Then it had damaged my spine also. So the spine also got treated with this. Now when he treated the spine, that required further help from the heart, which heart was not able to cope up with. So again the shortness of breath problem flared up because of that. So then again, along with the spine, he started treating my heart with these 3 techniques he talked about. One is this heart point and doing high. Focusing on lungs means the easy way to focus on lungs is in the back, in the center of the back, you focus there. You close your eyes. Now I do that lying in the bed. So, you know, there is no really, you don't have to sit in any particular posture or anything like that. Before I get up in the morning, I do all my therapies, this therapy. So you do that. I normally do it for 5 minutes. Just press it and mentally recite within your own vibration, Haim, Haim, Haim. And the second one is, of course, the Him mantra, he said, which basically stabilizes the heart. It really strengthens your heart, which is what Devji has also witnessed. And the third one is, I am doing just as a, not that I don't have arrhythmia, but I am doing it, is that Vitthal technique. And I am aware of Vitthal. I come from Maharashtra, and there the cardiologist in India conducted this test on these people who go to, there is a worship place in Maharashtra, Pandharpur, and they go in a particular time of the year, they go to that place to worship that deity. So when they go through various towns and all that, and when they go, they do Vithala, Vithala, Vithala like that. So someone really had this thought that why do these guys say that Vithala is the name of the deity? And you will see when you do Vithala, observe yourself, Vithala, your tongue touches the upper palate. And when that touches it, I have witnessed that it creates a kind of a vibration in the heart. If you are really careful and if you are at peace, you will see that connection. Whenever that tongue touches the upper palate, it really, there is something in the heart which gets stimulated. And I presume that is what takes care of. But anyway, the whole thing is, the whole heart condition can be treated. You know, your coronary blockage in the heart, which I do have still, because the surgery does not take care of it. Bypass surgery does not take care of the artery blockage. It basically provides an alternative for the blood flow. So it is not a cure, it is just a another solution, alternate solution for the blood flow to work. But those of us who may have potential heart situation or something because of this, pressing this point, if it pains, certainly it will help. Those of us who don't have any condition, for them also it can help to strengthen the heart. And I guess that is, and I can say this with my experience, I couldn't walk before, whole lot. Now I walk a mile a day, every morning. My shortness of breath has gone down by 80%. My mitral valve regurgitation has become totally negligible, which was quite significant. That I had no solution. If I had to leave, I had to go for surgery. And I really did not want to go in for surgery, because after you do surgery, then you got to take a lot of medication. And I am very sensitive to medication. I cannot even tolerate 4 pills of ibuprofen. If I take 4 pills of ibuprofen, I'm knocked out. I'm totally, again become lifeless. So fortunately, because of that, I had those kind of sensitivities to medicine. I did not get into the trap of taking a lot of medications. And that has saved my life, because I really don't have a whole lot of side effects of medication. But nevertheless, I had a lot of these medical conditions which I have dealt with, and I'm really fortunate that I got in touch with, Rajanji was able to really help me. And I think just only last night, we found out that even prostate condition can affect them. I had a prostate situation yesterday evening. I went to some dinner meeting, and there I found out that I was having a difficulty in urination. So, lo and behold, again early in the morning, that created a pressure on my heart. And again, I tried one of these mantras. I called him. He suggested me a mantra. I did that for about 20 minutes, and I was able to get out of it. That condition was such that I would have had to rush to an emergency room just early this morning. And I'm standing in front of you. If I wouldn't have gone through that therapy, I probably would be in the hospital. So it is surprisingly, these mantra vibrations are so powerful, even I am surprised that extremely powerful, they can treat you right away. I can say that from my personal experience, and that's what I want to share with you. Thank you.
Actually, I want to add something over here, that when you're talking about mantra vibrations, if you look at what Ayurveda and ancient medicine tells us, is all of us, the full functioning and all of the cosmos exists and continues by vibration. And in fact, when you eat a pill or any kind of food, you have probably heard as food as medicine too. If you eat anything, each of these are really, whatever is the biochemical component within there, it is the ionic exchange that creates everything that happens in there. What is ionic exchange? Just positively, negatively charged particles and all of that are happening, and that just creates vibration. So existence is about vibration. And one very top doctor, actually, who is well known in yoga, somebody by the name of Timothy McCall, he's now in his 80s. He was probably the first person who wrote a book. He lives in New Jersey. He wrote a book called Yoga as Medicine. That was one of the first Western publication on yoga. And I discussed with him. I told him that anytime you put a pill in the mouth, it's a vibration that heals. So if you can induce the same vibration without popping the pill, wouldn't it work? So at that time he said, you're right. But then at that time, I'm talking about like 12 years back, this conversation I had with him at the National Institute of Health when he had presented over there. But anyway, so I wanted to say that about the mantra, how it works.
Right. No, I think you mentioned to me that the whole existence of the whole universe is based on vibration. You know,
Yeah.
so I mean, I wasn't quite frankly aware of that, but I can tell you from my own experience what these sound vibrations have done for me. And these are very basic sounds. So anyway,
So now I'll invite Mr. Devinder Mahajan to share with us what he went through and his experience.
About 32 years ago, I was 50-year-old and I went for a routine test for my, actually not a routine test, for my father checkup. And my wife said, why don't you get yourself checked? And that's where doctor found some abnormality, but he didn't tell me anything. He go for some other test. And sure enough, he had to go to London, and I waited for me. He said, do whatever you do, nothing to worry about. When he came back, I had this angiogram, and it was expected probably one stent would take care. What he found was that two arteries were 95% blocked and two arteries were 70% blocked. So we went right away to this open heart surgery. And since then, all my food habits and exercise and so on have been watching, and my wife keeps tight control on it, and I'm still doing well. Only about 8-9 months back, I started having problem of these hiccups, and when I get up at night, I have to sit down for 10-15 minutes, calm down, and then I'll go back to sleep. And if I walk also for 4-5 minutes, these hiccups would start, plus I would feel pain under my arms. And also I was getting some swelling in my ankle. So right in end of March sometime, I went for a stress test. Dr. Mathur, who you know, he's my cardiologist. And going through the stress test, he said, Dave, I see some lack of blood pressure, pressure to the heart in some area. We can try another stent or something, but I'm not sure we will get some positive results. And this is what I call divine power. Right at that time, we met Ramesh ji on a wedding reception, and Sushma, my wife, and they were talking, and Ramesh ji talked about that how this Dr. Rajan Narayanan has been teaching, and it is simple techniques and so on. He told her whole story. Before that, at one time, Ramesh ji had mentioned, I went home and talked to my wife. She didn't pay any attention. But this time, she got real attention. And so happened that Tuesday, right in Starpipe, Dr. Rajan Narayanan was coming. So my wife made appointment with Dr. Anjana Dhingra, and sure enough, we came for a test-up. And I was amazed, all it was a bioval box, put 10 fingers, he looked at it, and then he asked me, do 5 minutes of Ujjayi Pranayam. Ujjayi Pranayam, breathing through your throat. And I did that, and he said, oh, he closes his eye, I don't know where he communicates. And he said, there is improvement. Then he asked me to do 5 minutes of meditation, and in your mind keep on saying aim, aim, aim. I did that, and he looked at the same pictures again, and he said there is a definite improvement. And there all he specified, okay, Dave, in the morning you do 20 minutes of meditation, with this Im mantra and 5 to 10 minutes of this pranayam, morning and even, and do it regularly, and which I followed naturally. So about 5-6 weeks, I was also taking medicine for these hiccups. It was helping, but still the problem was not gone. So what happened after 5-6 weeks, the problem of hiccups disappeared. And I called Rajanji, I said, there's a good news. I don't have to take any medicine for this hiccups. And he said, keep on doing the same practice and you would see also improvement in your walk. And at the same time, like he had mentioned, I was able to get rid of my blood pressure medicine. So he said, keep on doing the same practice and it will help you to improve your walking and so on. And sure enough, another 5-6 weeks, slowly, from 6 to 8 minutes to 10 minutes to 12 minutes. And now all I do is put Jagjit Singh ghazals and walk for 45 minutes without any problem. And that's really joy after that even hardly I could walk 4 to 6 minutes. And so what, in layman's language, I'm not a doctor or anything, that what Rajan Narayanan's suggestions are to bring your body to in balance. When the body is in balance, a lot of these other problems are automatically taken care. Like I told you, with the better circulation of the blood to the heart, this retention of water, my ankle, that also got taken care. So for me, it is literally a new life. And I was so impressed since I met him. We had 2 or 3 seminars in Arya Samaj so that the people could listen that, hey, these little simple techniques can really change your life. And in one case, Ramesh ji was there in that workshop, and when he described a story, everybody listened. So maybe I am here so that you may not listen to him, but you listen to me because I'm not part of the family. But that's how it works. So I am really thrilled that what these little 5 minutes, he observed this and he feels by computer, not his imagination, by actually computer reading, that there is a difference, and that's unbelievable. When I heard Ramesh's story, especially about chronic fatigue, I said, Ramesh, that's a miracle, and in my mind, it is a miracle. Thank you very much. Any question?
Be clear. You see, what we are doing here with mantra and yoga is something that is in research and developmental mode. Because unless we work with many people and establish something is working, it's not possible. If any of you stay here or whoever stays here till right in the end, we have another about 20-25 minutes to go, I will actually show you, we have worked out the mantras. We have about 32 different mantras we have worked for each organ of the body. I'll show you the slide if you are here till the end. But right now we want to keep the focus on the heart, right? So keeping in mind as a research and development, there are some places, for instance, we have also found the mantra to rejuvenate kidney. 2 years ago when I was here, we didn't have that, okay? So there are things that we can look at, but later. But now coming back over here, the outline of the presentation I had was typical cardiovascular ailments, anatomy, physiology of the cardiac health, both of which I am going to skip, okay? And we are going to focus on preventive health management, heart health management, and therapeutic health for the heart, okay? So one thing for the people who are over here, I'm going to give you a statistic that should wake all of you up. about 50% of the adult population of the United States have a heart problem. This is the statistics that has come recently. Okay? 121 million people suffer from heart problem. So in other words, there are, I see what, like 40 people sitting over here. There are, while only 2 or 3 of you may identify with a heart problem, the reality of it is there are probably 10 other people over here who have an undiagnosed heart situation that is going on underneath. And there may be another 10 who may develop some later down the road. So that is why the heart health situation should be thought of as very critical and something to focus on. And this, of course, is kind of right from WebMD, all the different kind of heart things that can come. And this is the report that came just like last week, the about 50% of the US population having that. And the two areas, heart attack and heart failure, these are the two things which ultimately cause all other very serious problems. Whereas usually the beginning starts with high blood pressure. Blood pressure is the initial indicator, but later on all other problems can come along. Okay? So all this I'm going to skip over here, so that another point is, anytime heart is involved, there are many other places that can also be affected in the body. The kidney, the lungs, the brain, the liver and metabolic syndrome, diabetes, all of them are all related with the heart, this thing, and you have to be aware of that. And I've already mentioned, the heart's principal job is to make sure oxygen and nutrients used to produce energy reaches every part of the body for their local function. If there is a problem, heart will adapt. If it is insufficient or if the adaptation is aggressive, it will create other issues and eventually affect many other organs. Okay? So for that, this is when I told you to make your fist and the middle finger, that is the Tal Hridaya Marma, that tells you there could be some imbalance in the overall system. Okay? That's how it figures in over there. And then so ensuring heart health is critical. Here, the next section is about anatomy and physiology, which I'm going to zip through. You can look up any other time. Is the anatomy of the heart, the coronary arteries, how they get this thing, the circulation system, the lungs, pulmonary system, and how the relationship between liver and the metabolic side. There is actually a full this thing over there video. Now the preventive heart health is the one which I want to get to right now. So this means this for everyone. It is very important that people learn to manage, reduce stress. Can anybody tell me how? Actually, I won't do that. We don't have the time. I'll tell you how we understand stress. Anytime the body feels tired, joint feels tired, end of the day you're feeling tired, physical tiredness, physical tightness of the muscle is stress. How did the stress come about? Because you did more than your physical ability, and so you depleted your system. That is why you're feeling the pain, the muscles and all of that. Now where else, typically people don't think of that as stress. What they think of is worries in the head, they think of as the stress, right? Both of them are stress to the system. Physically depleting or mentally depleting, both of them are stress in the system. And how do we learn to let go of stress? This is personal quiet time. That personal quiet time means not sitting in front of the TV. That is, many people do that. I just want to chill out and sit and watch some stupid program over there, right? So when you do that, you don't get complete relaxation, okay? The real complete relaxation is when you shut out the world. And let's say a very simple thing is, you develop a routine where you sit and just watch your breath for 20 minutes. Or if you want to combine it with cardiovascular exercising, then in which case what you do is, you go for a walk. But when you go for a walk, don't talk to anyone, don't do group walking and chat along as you're walking. And just walk by yourself, or others are walking, let them walk on their own, and just keep watching your breath as you're walking. For every 2-3 steps that you take, inhale, and for another 3-4-5 steps, exhale. Keep the exhalation longer than the inhalation, and that itself will take care of it. And there is a rule for cardiovascular exercising to give enough work for the heart. Many of you will know if you have been to gym. The formula is 220 minus your age gives you your maximum heart potential. You should not exert beyond your maximum heart potential. In fact, you should never go there. In fact, they say the safe place to exercise is between 55% to 85% of your maximum heart potential. So in other words, if you're 60 years old, 220 minus 60 is 160, and so 85% of 160 is probably what, around 140, 135, 140. That is the zone where maximum you can exercise. And how do you find your heart rate? Very simple. Just put your finger and read your pulse. If you have your watch with yourself, just hold it for 6 seconds and multiply it by 10, you get your heart rate. See how many times the pulse goes. When you do it for 6 seconds, multiply it by 10, that's your heart rate, right? So, any case, but this is the key for daily stress management and ensuring you have cardiovascular exercise. And just immediately before, you can do this as a test. Before you do that relaxation and this practice, this thing, go and press your middle finger there and then press over there and see how you feel over there. After you finish doing the exercise over a 40-minute period or so, come back and feel. You'll immediately feel the pain over there will become a little lighter because that deep relaxation begins to settle the system down. Okay? So this is the prescription for preventive heart health. And what are the self-observation checks you should look for as potential indicators of problem? One is, I have already told you, the left hand heart point over there, to press over there to see if you have any coronary artery problem. Second one is just look for unexplained fatigue or shortness of breath, being suddenly tired, no reason. Heaviness in the head, any kind of pain, or even a sense of disorientation. Be watchful of all of these things. And of course, when you look in terms of clinical check, these are the checks, whether it's blood pressure, the ECG, or the ankle brachial index, ABI. These are the kind of tests. And how often would you do it? This, according to age and family history, the doctor will recommend, whether annually or whatever, you would when you would go and do these tests. So that is the way to ensure that you prevent heart-related problems to come on. Now, when it comes to therapy, once you have a heart problem, there are other things. First starting problem can be high blood pressure. So when you have high blood pressure, what is the easiest way to do it? Is exhaling longer than inhalation alone will be able to reduce your blood pressure. But then you see, when I'm saying that with the idea that the blood pressure is caused by too much strain, stress in the body, okay? Stress is one part of it, but there is another part, other than the heart, if other parts of the system are affected, there could be more reasons than that. If you look at the blood pressure medications that is given to people who have high blood pressure, there is one category called calcium channel blockers, like the medicine called amlodipine. Anytime that relaxes the blood vessels. If that is what you are having, an equal yoga, the prescription you can have is slower exhalation. So go for a walk for about half an hour, and as you with 2-3 steps inhale, with 4-5 steps exhale, that will help to relax the blood vessels. Okay. Now, on the other hand, the blood pressure is also related to how the kidney is reacting and various other parts of the body. If that is the case, if kidney is impacting, then you will have medicines like losartan, lisinopril, and all of this. In the medical language, they will say the kidney is a filter, right? And the filter works when it has enough blood pressure, because the blood is going through the filters and taking out the unwanted stuff, right? So what happens is the kidney wants enough pressure. If the kidney wants, if you have more toxins that have to be cleared from the body, the kidney will say, let me ask the heart to increase the blood pressure, only then I will be able to clear out all the unwanted stuff faster. And if it goes in that direction, then in which case over a period of time it will damage your kidney, besides increasing your blood pressure too. So the thing is, I'm putting it in a kind of a very layman kind of language. So the blood pressure is the first thing you want to deal with. Now there is something else, this part we have not dealt with, but I'm going to very quickly mention over here. If you go and take your blood pressure, you know the normal blood pressure is considered 120 by 80, right? 120 systolic, 80 diastolic. If you're lower than that, it can go lower. If it's 110 by 70 or 105 by 68, all that is fine. Okay, you don't want it going too low. But then, if you find that your high one, the systolic, is reading like maybe 150, but your diastolic, the lower one, is still reading 80. Or the upper one is reading 140 and the lower one is reading like 70, 68 kind of thing. If you see that happening, then you have a different issue. The first thing you want to do is, when you see that, it could be a lung related problem, that the lung is not reoxygenating the blood fast enough, or it could mean the veins are not moving. The veins are taking the deoxygenated blood back to the heart, right? They're not moving it properly. In that case, we do something else, and for now I'm going to skip on this, okay? And we'll deal with it individually for more people at a later time. So for coronary artery problems, I've already mentioned to you the Haim mantra. So what I want to do right now is, just so that we can all practice together, let's take a couple of minutes and practice together. Just press at that point, and remember not to press flat. Press with the tip of the finger right over there. And mentally focus in your lungs. You don't have to say it loud, just focus on the lungs and go Haim, Haim, Haim. I will say the Haim, you don't need to do it. No, not in your mouth. Just visualize the lungs within and just go mentally Haim, Haim. I'll say it for you, just visualize the vibration within you. Close your eyes and observe your lungs.
Do the recitation in your mind.
In your mind, but I'm going to say it loudly so that you can feel it within you, okay? But when you do it, you don't say anything. You can feel it in there, okay? Okay, let's continue. Haim, 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 Haim. Keep your eyes closed. Focus on your lungs. Continue with the Haim. Excellent. So all of you were able to experience it. So the first one you already experienced before, for the irregular heartbeat, the Vittal, all of you tried it, right? When you do Vittal, you could feel the vibration. So this is the second one, which you have also tried. Now the third one is very simple, and this is the part that removes weakness from the heart muscles, okay? And this one is the Im meditation. Now this is something which we have to be careful, is we have found, as in the case of when I have worked with some people, that if any lower abdominal area, GI issue, prostate issue or anything is involved, the Im doesn't work anymore. It becomes RIM. But for most cases, for people you don't have GI issues or any lower abdominal area issues, the mantra is Im. So let's all practice together how to do this. Just close your eyes, mentally let go. If you like to keep your palms on your lap and both palms facing upward and the thumbs touching each other, mentally let go. Tell yourself, I give up all ideas and concepts, I care about nothing. I let go of everything. And mentally visualize you're hearing right somewhere in the back of your head or somewhere just the sound Im, 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 Im. Keep listening to that Im. im, 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 im. Keep listening. You can all experience how you did that. You would typically do this for meditation 20 minutes. But even if you did for 5 or 10 minutes, you will have benefit from it. So now, I'm going to come to the last one, which I've already done. So the question for all of you is, so what are you going to do about it going from here? You heard all of this wonderful thing, but unless you apply it to yourself, it doesn't bring any value for you, right? And as we have said from the national statistics, 50% of the adult population are suffering, okay? And so many of you here may be undetected. So doing the preventive part is something that you can easily do if you are not yet detected. And one of the preventive thing is here, pressing over here. And the other one preventive is, if you close your fist and the middle finger where it touches, you press over there in both the hands. In the case of the single coronary, it's only the left hand. But when you fold the fist in the middle finger, it's both hands. And what happens is, invariably for everyone, when you put the middle finger in and you press in that point, you will find either one of the two hands or both hands may have some sensitivity. You may have pain. It is quite normal, because normally most people are not in good balance, okay? But it is not an imminent threat of a heart problem or anything like that. But the imminent thing of a heart problem is on the left hand when you press over here and you feel the pressure come on over here, okay? And one thing is, many of you here know the machines that we are reading with, right? The machines we are reading it is extraordinarily good for our nervous system and immune system measurements and things. In the case of heart, this is a much better indicator than what the machine will show us, okay? So with that as the thought, there are a few next steps over here. There was one idea that Ramesh had mentioned, that so that we can establish, we can publish this and scientifically look in terms of furthering the research. Doing it for 2, 3, 4 people is not proper research. You need to do it for hundreds of people and see that it's coming that way, right? So the first step in any research is, we do it for half a dozen people and we see it is working, then we petition for a grant to go and do a much larger study, right? So the idea was that if any of you are in the risk of heart-related problem, Ramesh had worked out with the cardiologist to do a pre-post on this with these 3 protocol: 5 minutes of Vittal, 10 minutes of the pressing over here and doing the Heim, and 10 minutes of the Im meditation, and then taking a post reading of the echocardiogram. So if any of you are interested in it, you can talk to Ramesh over here and he will work it out. The second thing is, I am here from the rest of today and also all of tomorrow. So if any of you want an appointment, I can come in as early as 8 o'clock in the morning tomorrow. So you can just put your name in. I think Rachel has left the sheet over there, right? And Rachel, one other thing is, if you could keep both the conference room available, then we'll have 2 machines in the 2 room, just in case we get delayed with someone, okay? So with that, I will close here. And any questions, you're welcome to ask. And if there is time left over, I will show you the other points, or we can go on to the anatomy physiology of the heart. So any questions for any of the... Yes.
Just one clarification.
Yes.
The way I have been doing it is, I have been doing it 5 minutes of Heim,
Yeah.
10 minutes of Vittal,
Okay.
and 10 minutes of Im.
Im. Okay, we'll keep that of it, okay?
Is that the...
That is actually better. 5 minutes here, and 5 or 10 minutes of Vittal, and 10 minutes of the Im meditation. That is the protocol that has been working.
So
Any questions? Yeah. You were going to say something?
No, right now 3 of us are scheduled
Yes.
to go to this cardiologist in Sugarland who has agreed with us to carry out this research, that he will conduct a pre-echo before they do this therapy, and after doing this therapy for 20-25 minutes, again do a echo and record all the readings. So that way then we can really find out that it works for quite a few cases. And that's what we are trying to really prove over here. So in a way we are contributing to the
Development of the research.
development of the research regarding this. But if any of you have any questions from myself or Devji regarding our situation or our experience, feel free. By the way, when I went through this therapy for my chronic fatigue, it wasn't easy. Okay, because a lot of head pressures and things like that did come up in my case, but I had a firm conviction. Somehow or other I had a conviction when I had a chronic fatigue that my chronic fatigue will only get cured by yoga therapy.
I want to mention something over here. That firm conviction he had, it has been proven in medicine, unless you believe in what you're doing, it will not work for you. Okay? So the part is, if you don't believe, many of you might have heard of the term called placebo effect, right? The power of the mind itself healing. There is also now something called nocebo effect. If you think it's not going to work, it will not work. His perseverance was so great that in the first 1 year when he was doing all of this, he called me at least 1,000 times. That is his perseverance. And I want people like that. Only then you will heal yourself. So that's why my number I give to people. If you have a issue, call. That's the only way to heal. Now this gentleman had a question.
When you are doing the Heims,
Yes.
is it a constant press? Like you press
No,
it?
not
Or is it-
Press release. Press
Press
release.
release.
Press release. Yes.
Press.
Okay.
It just press hard
Good.
and then release. It is this point.
Show me your left hand.
रमेश जी कैमरा को देखो
See how the pressure, significant pressure, right?
या ओके
So, this is how when I woke up at 2 o'clock, I was very uncomfortable this morning, and I tested this and I had a lot of pain. So I realized that there was a condition in my heart, which by the way was caused by prostate, surprisingly, because I couldn't figure out why the problem came up.
And because of that, the Im mantra wouldn't work.
So the Rim mantra.
I asked him to work on Rim because something else was also affected.
Why not always use the rim if rim is not working?
No.
in some places?
But you see what it is, remember, we are still in a research process. We are trying to figure out all of these things. So these are what we have explained is, until we see it in repetitive cases, we cannot generalize, right? So this is the point of generalization that we have come to.